Hello everyone, my name is Justin Egliskis, and today we're going to be touching on the hidden aspect of ego that weighs every human down and creates disease. So, what is it? What's that hidden aspect? Really, what we want to look at here is the subtleness of the defense mechanism, which is the ego. And when we look, the structure is that there is obviously a defense mechanism. The specifics or the content are within the structure itself. So the structure is that ego defense mechanism, right? And the specifics of the ego defense mechanism, well, there's a lot of aspects there. Well, we can look at rationalization, we can look at victimization, we can look at avoidance or suppression. Well, those are all subtleties, sub-pillars within the core, the defense mechanism. You know, it's going to be so much easier when you're having interactions with people whom you're not necessarily attached to. So for example, probably the easiest, it's kind of gentle here. So let me just share the theme, which is other humans are going to trigger your ego defense mechanism frequently because they're living through their own defense mechanism. So it's sort of like, you ever play ping pong, right? Bing, 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 back and forth, yeah? And that's where I like to use this phrase, a game invitation, right? You can see when neurotic or narcissistic behavior, the theme of it is like a game invitation. It's like they are so confused and chaotic, and I say that gently because I'm filled with compassion for all of those who have that narcissistic psychology or that neurotic, highly negative worldview. Because they're confused, they're lost right now. That's why they have shaped the world in that way. If they truly saw the nature of the ego, the structure, which is that defense mechanism, they wouldn't be nearly so flustered all the time. So my point is here that we have compassion. We have compassion. We lead with compassion. But that other egos, other humans, are going to trigger you commonly, right? Whether it's via social media, whether it's via a one-on-one personal connection physically, or through the internet, one-on-one, or your family, right? Those are, or the people whom you work around in your 9 to 5 or whatever you do for work. So point is, we're going to have that defense mechanism arise when we're interacting with other egos. That's the structure. And now, if we can observe that defense mechanism and learn from it, because it moves in a certain way, you're going to notice certain tendencies. One that I used to have, which was programmed via my father, now I don't blame him at all. I just understand that was a program he had, and it went down the drain to me, which was when I was younger, and I'll still have moments every once in a while, but rarely. It was much more obvious like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. But I would see someone in a nice car and feel friction in my stomach, like, a dislike. So I was programmed in a way to my defense mechanism was like, oh, money, richness, desire, I don't have it. Well, they're probably bad, or, screw that, right? That's how the defense mechanism works. That's all your ego right there. But if you'll have the presence to understand how diabolical and devious living through the egotistical defense mechanism is, then you'll create a little psychological space which allows for a conservation of energy and increased drive, stronger strength, power, and the ability to use that energy. Not to forcefully pay attention or concentrate, but through deeply seeing I don't want to use the word consequence, but from deeply seeing the nature of how the defense mechanism, which is the ego, tends to move and create states of being. Through seeing that clearly, only then do you naturally, choicelessly, without a need for forceful discipline, start to observe. You'll just start to observe because it becomes so obvious. A life of non-observing, a life of non-noticing, of not listening to oneself is a life built on confusion. And we don't need that. Not at all. So we can be honest with ourselves. And we can study, okay, what environments tend to have certain themes in relationship to the outcome. Now let me bridge this little story together. So we're talking, right, the hidden aspect of the ego, which weighs us down, what creates disease, right? It's this constant living in, am I a victim? Am I attacked? Am I angry, sad, lonely? But there's a part of you who can just see things clearly, and everything I just listed absolutely disappears. And, you really got to see and understand the nature of the diabolical. Seeing that clearly will lead you to the greater intelligence, the river of life, the wisdom, which allows you to heal disease or even prevent disease before it occurs. Oh, wow. Healthcare system, pharmaceutical system should take some notes, I would say. I digress. Really. And even the educational system, right? We're so much taught to, I don't even know how to say it. Currently, society has been constructed via a certain level of awareness, and we so dearly need society to be rebuilt through a higher level of awareness, a more compassionate level of awareness. I'm talking compassion on a level of humanity, not compassion for Americans only, or Christians only, or Indians only, or African Americans, save black lives. How about save humanity? Let's fucking save humanity. And I don't mean to say that certain cards haven't been dealt. 100% cards have been dealt. But my point is, we're all so similar inside. The thing which beats our hearts has the same essence as the thing which makes the tides come in and out, the sun come and fall, So for humanity, not just for a certain group, a group has to be divided, right? Humanity is one. If we're just Christian, we're dividing. If we're just Islamic, we're dividing. If we're just Hindu or Buddha, we're dividing. White, brown, yellow, purple, orange, dividing. But we could see so clearly that there is just one thing, the structure. We all have an ego. Every single one of us. We have that defense mechanism. So how about we get real? Let's talk about that structure. Right? Not the preferences of blah, blah group. I digress, right? So it's just this opportunity, a beautiful opportunity which is on our hands. And we can start living our lives in such a way where we're truly free and we're not confined. We're not trapped in constantly defending ourselves or being confused. Because the structure of the ego is not only shallow and simple, it can seem complex, but that complexity can be simplified into structures so that things are just basic. Because when we live in the ego, the defense mechanism surely seems, like a motherboard. Millions of pieces. And there are millions of pieces. But when we start to become wiser and start to understand energy better, we realize that we can simplify things and that we can see more in an organized, structural way. And we can make the things which seem complicated more simple. And that's a gift, right? Whether it's knowledge and you're teaching someone how to scale on social media, took me a couple years to start to figure that stuff out. Soon, it's going to be simplified into an offer for many people, because that was a pain point for me. Growing on social media, I knew I had something to share. I knew it. And for many years, I was sharing the wrong thing with the wrong people. And then I started sharing something that was a bit more right, but still with the wrong people. And now, here we are, you guys, I'm sharing the right thing with the right people. How did that all come about? It's through the alignment, through living a spiritual life and realizing, wait, business can be spiritual. And when I use the word spiritual, I don't mean woo-woo. I mean, you see things clearly. We're not human doings. We're not human havings. We're human beings. We're energetic. You can feel frequencies. You can feel it if you get out of the ego. Like the vibrations, the contagiousness of energy, you can feel it. Like at my old part-time job, we had to have a manager who, he has a workload which he's not necessarily aligned with. And that creates some chaos within him. And he doesn't recognize and see clearly, so he spreads that chaos. And everyone around him is aware of it, but he's not necessarily aware of it. And you see, I talk gently here because I'm not judging the man. He's clearly in pain and he's clearly confused because he's stuck living in the trapped ego defense mechanism. And he has habits and routines and mechanical living that keep him dull, that keep him set in a lack of energy and also a lack of understanding the nature of his energy, right? And then that compounds and the chaos spreads. But then the beautiful thing is, in that chaos, his being caught becomes an opportunity for me, because I know that chaos sometimes may be there. And what am I doing if I let that chaos swallow me, right? Or I can live in a way where I see it and I feel it. And I don't rationalize it or justify it or blame him or act like I'm the victim of his chaos, but just be deeply honest and do my best to create my space, both for him and I. That compassion that channels through you. Once you understand yourself, you start to understand others. And you really drop your own defenses, right? Because in having compassion, you can't be stuck in your own defenses. To have compassion, you have to see through your own defenses. And that's what we're talking about here. That's exactly what we're talking about. So once you start to see your programs, study, observe, notice, and feel all of your defenses, you can start to become wiser. And that wisdom will transform what you are. And it's not about becoming anything different. You can't chase enlightenment. You can't chase stuff. But you can see clearly and let yourself be guided naturally. Bing, bing, bing. Okay. I think that was pretty valuable. Felt valuable to me. I'm glad I shared that. Okay. In description, I write daily. Subscribe for free. If you enjoyed this, promise, guarantee 100%, you will enjoy the writing. If you're on podcast, drop a rating, share it with a friend, please. Thank you. And if you're on YouTube, drop a like. Let me know what your thoughts are, or, more than your thoughts. Let me know what your real insights are. Feedback. Don't just react. Don't attack. Don't jump at me. Okay. Appreciate you guys sincerely. Big hug. Let's go. Have a great day.